Hey ladies, welcome back for another session. How do you guys feel today?
Good.
Good. So I'm glad that primarily everybody is doing well. Today we're going to kind of reiterate things that we already learned and kind of go over a new segment where we talk about our sexual intentions and how to express that to our partners. The whole goal is to empower us as women so that we do feel comfortable talking about our sexual intentions. So to start us off, has anybody ever felt uncomfortable talking to their partner about sex before? Good. So that's pretty much everybody's hands in the room. How did that make you guys feel?
I didn't really feel anything. It was kind of like, well, here we go again. Another relationship with the guys in control.
Yeah, I feel like it was the same old thing. Don't talk about it, just do it.
I was pissed off. You see, it would have been better if he just actually listened and I got my point across, but the only way that I know is for me to extensively express myself. So, let alone that is the only way that I know, and it works every time.
I felt kind of like lost and helpless, like I wasn't able to say what I wanted.
Okay. So I see that there's various different types of emotions in the room, and it's completely understandable. So today I wanted to kind of go over 3 different types of communication styles that you guys can think of using, one in particular being the target one that we're going for. But I want you to kind of just take this handout and look over the different type of communication styles and see which one you fall under, okay? We can pass that one to her, please.
Thank you.
Okay, so the first type of communication style I would like to talk to you guys about is aggression. So being aggressive means that you're standing up for yourselves in the expense of somebody else. When you use language, your language is normally threatening, or you're using your language to punish others. When you are being aggressive, you fail to consider the other person's needs or feelings. And being aggressive can be direct or indirect. The second type of communication I would like to talk to you guys about is non-assertive. So being non-assertive means that you feel as if you don't have the right to be heard. You may feel uncomfortable expressing yourselves, and you may be afraid to stick up for yourself because you want to avoid confrontation. You don't always tell others how you feel, so therefore your needs never get met. Non-assertive people often tend to have inconsistent eye contact, and they also have low and unsteady voices. And their body language is normally, they're normally very cautious with their body movement and their body languages. The last one I want to talk to you guys about, which is the goal, this is the one that we want you guys to try to work on being, is assertive. So when you're assertive, this means that you are able to stand up for yourself. That means that you can tell others how you feel without being threatening, without punishing them, or without putting them down. You're able to think, feel, and say what you want without feeling anxiety or being afraid. And when you're assertive, you're able to communicate and be honest and direct with the other person so they don't have to try to figure out what you're trying to say. Lastly, with being assertive, it doesn't mean that you guys are always going to agree, but what's important is that you guys you're able to tell how you feel and be heard in an effective and tactful manner.
Well, based off of this chart, I would have to say that I'm definitely an aggressive user. That style is the one that gravitates to me. I mean, like I said before, that's the only way that I know. My actions and my words, it never ceases to amaze me, but I feel as though I have to do that. I have to act out in order to command and demand attention.
I understand, and I'm glad that you were able to identify which communication style you use. How about everybody else? How does everybody else feel? What communication style do you guys use?
I would say I'm not assertive, which is crazy because in my other aspects of my life, I'm very assertive.
Yeah, I totally agree.
And that's understandable. It's totally possible to be able to take charge in one part of your life and not always feel comfortable taking charge in other parts. So that's understandable.
So how can we learn to be more assertive?
Well, like this thing says, when you're not assertive, you're timid and tend not to have eye contact. So the opposite would be to talk firmly and have eye contact.
Great. So basically, just like she said, using eye contact, and also making sure that you're not afraid or timid when you speak.
But what would we say to our partners exactly? Like, with my intuition, I can't help but feel as though all men are up to no good and are never trying to actually listen to what you're doing and what you're saying.
Okay. And I understand that. So instead of maybe using you statements.
You statements.
Yeah, see?
Okay, you're right.
People normally
You're right.
take offense to that. They normally get defensive. So instead of saying you, how about I? Yeah, I statements. Like, I don't like when. Or I feel as if type statements. So, with that being said, I statements help us because it helps get your point across in an effective manner so that it doesn't seem like you're attacking the other, but you're just stating how you feel non-aggressively.
Yeah, I heard that 1 in 2 women experience sexual violence in their lifetime.
Yeah, and with sexual violence as well, that definitely can help alleviate some of that because they don't feel offended.
You know, you're right. That makes a lot of sense. So what you're saying is, the next time that I'm engaging with my partner and I'm real pissed off, I need to tell him that I'm angry for you not listening to me. Right? Is that what you're talking about?
That sounds good. Maybe a little less of the tone.
Oh,
but
okay.
The
Okay.
statement was definitely great.
Oh, and maybe I could say, maybe we should talk about sex first before we actually have it to make sure everybody agrees.
Exactly. So it sounds like you guys are good in it. Good. So I'm going to assign a little bit of homework for you guys. I know, bummer, but it's good homework. So I want you guys to go home. I'm going to give you guys some scenarios to think about, and I want you guys to come up with assertive responses on how to confidently respond in an assertive way. Remember, using I statements instead of you. So does that sound good to everybody?
Yeah.
Sounds good to me.
Cool. So how about we close out with some words of wisdom? Would anybody like to read the passage on the back of the communication sheet that I gave you guys?
I'll do it.
Thank you.
The Transformation of Silence into Language by Audre Lorde. We can learn to work and speak when we are afraid in the same way we have learned to work and speak when we are tired. For we have been socialized to respect fear more than our needs of language and definition, and while we wait in silence for the final luxury of fearlessness, the weight of that silence will choke us.
Good. Snaps to that.
Yes.
So that's definitely some words of wisdom that I want you guys to take home and kind of let it digest as you go over your homework and maybe even apply it to other parts of your lives. I enjoyed you guys tonight, ladies. I hope you took something from it.
Thank you.
See you guys next time.
Until next time.